Welcome, friends of the show. We are back with another episode of the Ferris Wheel Serious Rock Talk podcast. A big thanks for your emails, suggestions, and your support on our social media platforms. Continue to email us at seriousrocktalk@gmail.com. Find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok. Listen to the new show every week. Just tune in each Wednesday evening, 7 p.m. New York City time, on Cap City Beats, located at www.capcitybeats.ca. Okay, buckle up for some serious rock talk.
Talk.
So, gents, how are we doing today?
Nice. Great. It's this beautiful weather, and I'm just grooving with that right now.
You're grooving with this weather? I don't know.
Oh, yeah. The ocean's washing in here in the white beaches. Sure. Why would we be stuck in Jack Nowhere, Quebec? I mean, we're not. We're here by the beautiful.
Well, the words of Jimmy Buffett, what is it? Margaritaville?
Yeah. Nibbling on sponge cake. Yeah.
So it's always nice to see you guys. Obviously, to the left of me, a man who was friends with Frank Schuster before he passed away.
Wow, that's obscure. Frank Schuster, my God. Holy God.
We have Dr. Ian Clark. And a man who likes to put, women's lingerie on just for fun.
Stephen Wheeler.
Well, it could be fun.
Especially in your head.
Especially in COVID, because you can't get out.
That's true. Yeah.
Good for you.
I'm just teasing. There's no way in hell he would allow that.
He wouldn't spend money on it.
No. So today, gentlemen, I figured we'd talk about the front man.
Yeah, one of the most difficult jobs in all of rock. It really is.
Well, if you hold a tambourine when you sing, I guess.
Well, yeah, but if you're not Davy Jones, I mean, come on.
So I compiled actually a list of the front men that I wanted to talk about today, and I wanted to lead it off with a small introduction of the show. The front man is the most integral part of any rock group. Without them, there would be no energy. So what makes a front man exceptional? The answers can vary for many. It also depends on what criteria we are basing it on. I have produced my own criteria, and today I will share this with you, the listeners. So prepare yourself for some serious rock talk.
Talk.
So this is Kennedy's frontman criteria, and you must have a few of these to qualify. Now, if you have all 10, well, kudos to you.
You have the job.
You have the job. But I don't think anybody has all 10, okay? So I'm going to fire them off here, and here we go. First one, needs to have a solid voice with a great set of lungs to hit some of those high notes when required. Raspy voices are welcomed.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Number two, obviously needs to be on key and sing in harmony. Kind of goes hand in hand.
You hope.
Hopefully key, although some aren't. But yeah, you're right, 90% or 95 are key.
All right.
When they begin, at the very least.
Yeah, then they get tired and oh boy.
The third one here is needs to look cool. Image is very important.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
boy, it's more important than the voice.
Must have stage presence and good showmanship.
Yeah.
Being athletic or in good shape is a bonus. So I'm using examples: athleticism back in the day, David Lee Roth with the martial arts stuff. Mick Jagger moving forward today, he's still in very good shape, has a very rigid routine.
He's a freak.
Okay,
Yeah.
if they play an instrument, it is a bonus.
It's a bonus, yeah.
Longevity or a long-running shelf life as a frontman earns you an extra bonus in points.
I agree with that.
Okay. Needs to work the audience, interact with them live as it creates the likable element.
So basically, you're eliminating Paul McCartney with that
I
one.
was going to say, eliminating all the Beatles. I mean, Lennon, hello, how is everybody? And that's it. They really know.
Versatility.
Yeah.
Be able to... I'll use an example. I didn't put them on a list, but Kid Rock, for example, could go from country to blues to rap to rock to God knows whatever. He's versatile in many things, but he didn't make my list.
But he couldn't go to the barber.
He didn't go to the barber. Songwriting in any capacity, whether it's solo or in collaboration, that is a plus.
Again, yeah.
And one that complements his bandmates and those around them.
Yeah, that's really important.
Okay.
That one you really hope for the longevity of the band.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, here is my list.
Okay.
So, the first one I decided to put on was Elvis Presley. He was active from 56 to 77, had great stage presence, played the guitar, looked good, had a soulful voice, and was able to work with the audience with his gyrating hips.
Yeah.
Till 73, yeah.
Until they gained weight.
Then they really gyrated. Well, thank you very much, man. Thank you.
The next one I put here is Ronnie Hawkins from Ronnie Hawkins and the Hawks. So basically active from 56 to about 2010. Had the look, somewhat. The stage presence, wrote his own songs, had a powerful voice, and gave the band their first break as they went from the Hawks to the band. Mm-hmm. So in a sense, this man complimented these five gentlemen, and on they went.
And he put a good show on. He used to call him Mr. Energy or something.
Mr. Dynamo.
Mr. Dynamo in his time.
But his looks were good from when he started till...
Beverly D'Angelo.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good point. Then...
third on my list, Ian, I put Mick Jagger from the Rolling Stones. Active since 62 to present.
It's incredible.
Has the longevity beat by anyone on this list for sure. Has a stage present, is in fantastic shape, has collaborated with Keith Richards in songwriting, is known as one half of the Glimmer Twins, and his voice has been debated to be subpar at the best.
Yeah, it's not the best voice, but it doesn't...
They're a blues band, though.
They're a blues band, and he keeps in key, right? And that's okay. But it's not like he got, I don't know, like Freddie Mercury. It's not a great voice.
The next one I put was John Lennon. Frontman from the Beatles, I always say from 62 to 66 because when we talk, he said Paul took over. So active basically from 57 to 80, could write songs like no other, played the guitar, looked the part in his early career, had okay stage presence, and got the audience going somewhat.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. The thing with the Beatles is they didn't need stage presence. Had to come out, hello, is everybody? And the thing goes crazy, right? The stadium blows out. They didn't develop how to talk to people. Right? You can really see that in this new documentary when they're just standing. Where are they? Their last concert is on top of a rooftop. Wow, what a letdown.
He had a successful solo career, and in my opinion, it opened the door to music today in collaboration with Paul McCartney.
And did what? How?
They opened the door to music to other people in collaboration.
Oh, yeah. Oh, sure. Without the Beatles, we wouldn't be here.
That's right. The next one I put on my list was Paul McCartney from the Beatles, obviously, from 66 to 70. Then, Wings and all that good stuff. So he's active from 57 to present because I verified my stuff on allmusic.com just to make sure. And this man, again, could write songs like no other, played the bass, drums, piano, and guitar, fronted two bands between the Beatles and Wings with okay stage presence, had a successful solo career, and again, in my opinion, opened the door to the music today in collaboration with John Lennon, and has longevity, but Dr. Clark will ask why.
Well, I actually get into that a little later in the show.
And I have to give him point, though. He has huge cojones because he actually released, I think it's either 3 or 4 classical albums.
I know.
Which, as a rock musician, you're just asking to be crucified. And he wasn't crucified too much.
People take it easy on Beatles. Yeah. He's a Beatle. Take it easy.
But I mean, you have to admire the cojones.
Well, Liverpool ratio, and you can't read music. Okay, how's it go? Kind of goes like this. Doody. And the guy writes it down. Okay, F sharp, mine. And then it goes. Okay. Get rid of this guy. I'll write it myself. Yeah.
So the next one I put is someone that Ian has referred as a horrible man, Levon Helm from the band.
Oh, wait a second. He's not. He's okay. He became very poor near the end of his life and stuff. He lashed out at some people, but Levon's a good guy. He's not, a heavyweight that way.
Well, he's active from 57 to 2012. Obviously, his passing. Longtime drummer for the band. Levon Helm wore many musical hats throughout his long career, including multi-instrumentalist, songwriter, singer, impresario, studio owner, studio engineer, and producer. Stage present was a little bit different as he was a lead singer and drummer, so it's kind of hard for him to get up from there. And we will give him a mulligan on that part because there was nothing he could really do. And he was also part of Ronnie Hawkins' Hawks.
Oh, yeah. He was his drummer for a long time.
The other one I put on the list is just to appease all the Canadians. I put Geddy Lee from Rush, active from 68 to 2018. I don't want my tires slashed. Great musician, great songwriter, can play the guitar, keyboard, and bass guitar. His voice has been criticized by many. Does not have stage presence at all. But has longevity.
Oh, yeah.
A huge following, and created prog rock in Canada. Okay, I'll give him that.
Okay.
A lot of people said, why don't you put Gord Downie on here? I said,
it's not prog.
He just doesn't... Gord Downie, if you ever saw Gord Downie perform, in between, he never shut up. Like, I don't give a crap about the time you went to the gas station and you spoke to
I
the
know he
local-
does this kind of Springsteen mumble thing through it.
But yeah, I put Geddy Lee because, you know, I have to not deny it. You know?
I actually used one of their albums to help peel paint in my house. Just turned it up. I think it was 2112.
The next one I put was Jim Morrison from The Doors, active from 65 to 71, because he died.
He croaked.
Yeah. Was basically an Adonis. Had the stage presence and was able to work with the crowd, had a strong voice, can hit the high notes. He was one of the most legendary and influential figures in rock and roll history. Songwriter who was infatuated with poetry.
Yeah, he was. He was.
Did I get one okay? Did I do that one already?
Yeah, okay. I'll let you, yeah, he was a strange voice too because he had a deep voice for a rock singer. Usually they're pitched pretty like they're tenors, right? Because they're small guys with little tiny thoraxes. But for some reason, you know, people are strange. He could kind of, it was like an upper register baritone or something. It was odd. But he could scream when he wanted to.
And I use the word Adonis because Ian had used that a couple, I think season 4 or 5, we're talking about Jim Morrison. He's like, oh, he was an Adonis.
He was. The guy was, talk about a babe magnet. Oh, I don't know how many Doors bios I've read, but this guy, he would have died anyway. Some woman would have killed him.
Oh, I thought you were going to say STDs.
No, I can't really go on about that. Yeah, he wasn't a prince that way either.
The next Adonis that I have on the list is John Fogerty of CCR. I just had to throw that in
Didn't
there.
make it in his looks. Rolling on a hill.
So he was pretty well active as a frontman from 67 to 72. And I guess it's safe to say he just was CCR, you know? So that's the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean, he was... they learned the hard way by, I think their last album, they let the other guys, hey, we want to write stuff too. And it's been voted the worst album from a major band in history. How do you like that?
It had one of the worst covers as well.
I can't remember.
It was just a weird picture. Can't even, it's just bizarre all the way.
Yeah.
So obviously he was CCR. He wrote majority of the songs, played the guitar. As Creedence Clearwater Revival, they released 9 top 10 singles, all written by Fogerty, no surprise, between 69 and 71, starting with the standard Proud Mary. They also scored 8 gold albums between 68 and 72. Gee, I wonder why. Oh, because it was fueled by Fogerty's simple, driving rock songs and his burly baritone, intoning deceptively poetic, like Bad Moon Rising, and even political Fortunate Son lyrics.
That's true.
The next one was I hear some noise here. What's going on?
What do you hear?
I hear...
Is that the construction next door?
I think so.
Oh, hello.
And now it's time for Ian's Knock, a little segment we like to call the Ferris Rock Show, where Ian himself will rant and rave on books, reviews, musicians, artists, people, or whatever just does not go his way that day. Who knows? You might be on Ian's Knock, 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 Knock.
I'm going to talk about something today in Ian's Knock that there's really no answer for. Can someone be too old to perform rock music? This is I think I could subtitle Dr. Clark's Rock Star Relevancy Rule. I am inspired by a book I just read by a guy named John Strassbach called Rock Till You Drop. To give you an idea of the author's beliefs, he refers to the Rolling Stones Steel Wheels Tour as the Steel Wheelchairs Tour. He also invented the term colostomy rock. So he's a clever guy. There are a few chapters in which I'm 100% behind him. One is called How Rolling Stone magazine turned 30 and Why You Didn't Care. Amen to that. You know, as a sidebar, Rolling Stone, when it first came out, I remember it from a long time ago. It was up there with the Bible. You went to it. It was incredible. All the Lennon interview, all this stuff. They moved to the East Coast, and they became kind of, East Coast New York guys, and that was into that. Also, a chapter called Hall of Lame, Why There Shouldn't Be Rock Museums. I agree, but it's a painful concept because I've been to the Cleveland Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a few times. But yeah, it's a little bit morbid when you see the doors to the plane in which Otis Redding was killed. I get that. Strassbach goes after the Rolling Stones because they're a big name, just like the McDonald's of dinosaur rock. They're easy targets. People like Townsend and Ian Hunter of Mott the Hoople have expressed disappointment in his conclusions. By the way, he calls Townsend's current band half a Who, which is clever too.
Well, technically speaking, they still are. They're the original two, are they not?
Wait a sec. No, the bassist John Entwistle was an original. Yeah, and who Moon was almost an original, like with
When he was sober.
Well, no, I mean, when he came in a little late, they had another drummer. I think they were called the High Numbers, but they had another drummer, and then Who came in, and of course, wow, look at this guy. We better hire him.
I don't know. When I see the Who, I just think of like a Jack Roger Daltrey. Like he's just built like a brick shithouse.
Who?
Roger Daltrey, just
He's always pretty jacked. But if the Who, again, sorry folks, another sidebar, but when 78, when Moon died, the Who died. So people always talk about the importance of a drummer. He can't be much if he doesn't compose. Yeah, well, he didn't compose, he didn't sing, but when he died, the Who stopped. So he was in fact, keep your eyes on the Stones, Charlie Watts for that. But a drummer can be the soul, and is usually the soul of a band. It just works out that way. Levon Helm, we spoke about earlier, same thing. Okay, this author quotes a guy named John Shea, is a well-known owner of Trinity Records, a retro specialist record store in Dublin. Quote, Jagger and McCartney are pathetic hangovers of a vanquished era. It's time these guys retired gracefully and stopped making fools of themselves. The music is completely irrelevant. We're not stocking their new albums. They simply wouldn't sell. Their day has passed and everybody seems to know it except them. Unquote. Okay, let's step back a bit. There are some art forms such as dance in which participation is severely restricted by age. Singers can have a rough time too with age. Your vocal range really does shrink. Let's look at rock. Can it be negatively impacted by the age of the performers? Obviously, yes. And the reason is that rock music originally began as teenage dance music. It was simple beat-driven dance music, full of energy and lyrical themes that spoke to young people. For those who know the history of rock, I'm not breaking any new ground here. So rock music, by its very definition, has an upfront physicality. That's why so much rock music is about sex. Yes, an art form can mature, but if the branch gets too far away from the tree roots, it begins to wither. Okay, we have a few building blocks in place. Let's proceed. From a visual point of view, is it more pleasing to hear I Can't Get No Satisfaction sung by a 25-year-old Mick Jagger or a 75-year-old Mick Jagger? I'd go with the young guy because the song is basically about sexual frustration. Now that I think about it, maybe the 75-year-old has a point too, though.
I was going to say.
Mother. So, in rock, we mainly have dance music around simple sex-based themes. Think AC/DC. In fact, think anything AC/DC has ever done. Strasbourg also goes after aging rock critics, and I agree with him here, most of whom worship at the altars of their aging rock heroes, and in turn are quite forgiving, or they're over-enthusiastic about some talentless young band, just so he or she, the critic, can appear hip and relevant. And I will return to the concept of relevancy later, because it really is what poisons the well. Not so much age. Look at it another way. If a rock artist is incredibly lucky, they'll have a 10-year run in music and albums. Let's call it Dr. Clark's rock star relevancy rule. The Beatles had about 8, the Stones about 10, Pink Floyd the same with the Who. You can find and name it yourself. After that, it's downhill in terms of the quality of the songwriting, relevancy, and stage performance. It just is. So now we're into something called nostalgia, which turns rock into pure entertainment. Nothing rebellious, nothing sexy, nothing new. But without a doubt, the Stones and McCartney are simply huge nostalgia acts, performing for the most part songs they wrote in their 20s. That's fine. Now here's the conundrum. Is your enthusiasm to see Paul McCartney live override an unsettling discomfort that what you're witnessing is going to be a shadow of himself? In other words, you're paying top dollar for an inferior product. Likely your response as a Beatles fan is going to be, I don't care, it's still great music, and everyone is having a good time. As I say, it's a conundrum. Is it possible for Paul to sing She Was Just 17, you know what I mean, when he's 80? Yeah, it's possible if kept within the parameters of nostalgia, goofy entertainment. But if you hear the Beatles sing that song in 1963, which you can, compared to McCartney today, you might get a different answer. Grace Slick, the outspoken singer for Jefferson Airplane, said, quote, all rock and rollers over the age of 50 look stupid and should retire. You can do jazz, classical, blues, opera, country until you're 150, but rap and rock are really a way for young people to get that anger out. So Grace put a number on it, 50. I'm okay with that. Anyway, I always have the albums. They don't age. The music is still great. Folks, we're talking about performances here, not composition. Remember that. What it really comes down to, I think, is this. Is the music still relevant? And relevancy is a magical formula that no one has figured out. But you can bet in 10 years Taylor Swift and Adele will not be as relevant as they are today. It's just the way it is. Even though they might sell out stadiums, such is the power of nostalgia and such is the power of Dr. Clark with Ian's Knock.
That's impressive.
Nice.
Yeah.
But
Well-
to get back to that, yes, 10 years, I guess you could put Led Zeppelin there because
Yep, same
John
thing.
Bonham passed away. Do I want to see McCartney and Mick Jagger stop performing? No, I don't.
No, that's right. Is a conundrum, right? You
I
can't.
don't want to see AC/DC stop performing either. I couldn't care less if Clapton decides to perform again. You know what I mean? Pink Floyd, though, I want to see them. Yeah, if they could reunite just for once, just get it done. But that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, right? You look at the guys today, like Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yeah, they're up there now in age, and
Yeah.
they're probably passing Grace Slick's plateau.
they've passed it.
You know what I mean? So look, Bryan Adams, he's still going, but.
Well, not anymore. He's second COVID dose. So
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like his stuff that he does, he kind of just goes back, like you said, to the nostalgic stuff. He puts out new stuff, which he doesn't have to. There's no need.
no, there's probably no need, but they do it anyway.
But he's bored. They're bored.
They're bored. McCartney will put out, his dirty bed sheets. He just can't stop. But what I wanted to get is relevancy. And as I kind of looked into this, and I sat down, did the kind of 1,000-yard stare. It's relevancy that gets you in the end. Paul McCartney's not relevant. To get relevant, he has to team up with Jay-Z or something. And now I'm relevant. And he has a hit. But left alone, no one buys his stuff. It's bizarre. And he's a Beatle. But it's not 1968. Sorry. Anyway.
All right. So now moving on to the list. Ian, you said this guy was a Canadian icon for the women totally loved them. Burton Cummings,
Yeah,
the Guess Who.
Sure. Yeah.
From
He was. Babe made it.
Yeah, from 1965 to 75, and he's been active up until about 2010. He was a lead singer and songwriter for the Guess Who, collaborated with Randy Bachman, had a great voice, and his stage presence behind the piano was entertaining. Spent 10 years with that band, but left for a solo career, releasing a self-titled album in 1976 with the single Stand Tall.
Love you more.
For God's sakes, don't do something foolish. And he sold over 1 million copies.
God help
And I have that album. I got it for like $8.
Really?
Yeah, $8.
Nice.
It's like in a near mint condition.
Oh
off
my
of,
God.
Yeah. The next one I have is Roger Daltrey from The Who. And from the research I've done, he's been active since 64 to present. He's still going.
He's still going.
Yeah. Has the voice to sing rock songs. Athletically built back in the day, and he's still in decent shape.
Yeah.
Has written songs in collaboration with Pete Townsend. Has a longevity streak in the way, not like Jagger, but it's close. And was able to work the crowd and has a pure rock voice.
Yeah, he's
And
good.
like a lot of his contemporaries, was actually a decent actor.
I didn't know he did some movies. Okay.
Yeah, he did 2 or 3, and they weren't bad.
Yeah, he did. He did McVicker. He had a good soundtrack. And he did
Listomania.
Yeah. And
Which
Tom.
was insane.
Yeah, well, Ken Russell. Right?
The next one, obviously no surprise that I put him on here, is Robert Plant, or in Quebec he goes by Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin. And he was basically from 68 to 1980, but he's still doing some solo stuff.
Oh, yeah.
The creator of hard rock, Plant could belt out any rock tune. He was a singer-songwriter, had the stage presence, has influenced many rockers today on his style and approach, was a staple in arena rock, had the look of a true rock and roll frontman, and had one of the greatest guitarists of all time by his side, and had a power duo of Page and Plant. Must be in the top 5 in my books, and he's still active in many ways. In
And
music.
had his own plane when he was in with
Did
Led
he?
Zeppelin.
Oh, yeah, right,
Led
their
Zeppelin
own-
had their own plane,
I know.
which was just cool.
You couldn't do that anymore.
Oh, God, no.
The next one I put was Steve Tyler from Aerosmith.
Yeah, he's a good frontman.
He's been active since 1970 onwards, traditionally a drummer before moving into the frontman role, and plays the piano. Steven Tyler has the qualifications. He can write, sing, dance, move on stage, and swing the microphone with the scarves and handkerchiefs. There's your true showmanship right there.
Sure is.
He could belt out those high notes. He had style and could work with the audience. He is one half of the Toxic Twins alongside lead guitarist Joe Perry, and they hit 50 years in 2020, and they're still going with longevity.
Just barely.
Some marriages don't last that long.
That's right. Freddie Mercury from Queen, from 1970
really,
to 1991. So operatic voice, can sing with perfection, has the high notes synchronized, wrote songs, performs on stage, played the piano, was not afraid to think outside the box, versatile in rock and in opera with Montasera Cabale. He definitely is versatile, and he can move on stage to engage and communicate with the audience with that hey-ho, stage presence and showmanship were there, and was a ball of energy. Mercury made Queen who they are.
True.
And they are now remembered for what we know them as for today.
Yeah,
true.
he was incredible.
And they should have ended with Freddie, actually.
They should have, yes.
But they're sitting around, I think you're right. They get bored.
Yeah.
Well, they should be called the zombies now, because that's what they are.
Well, the zombies are still there.
The zombies are still active. Yeah. Maybe the new zombies.
So the next one I put on here as frontman, obviously David Lee Roth from Van Halen. Active pretty well from 74 to 2021, which he just retired. With 2 stints in Van Halen, Roth was the greatest frontman for Van Halen. He can sing, write songs, perform on stage with acrobatic and martial art movements. In his prime, his voice was a pure rock voice. He can scream and shout out songs and hit those high notes when it was required. In my honest opinion, he is the greatest showmanship of all time. Stage presence alone, and had a way to get the audience engaged and kept them entertained. He put Van Halen on top, and when he came back, majority of the fans, including myself, were happy, as he gave Van Halen those extra years on the second go-around. Longevity could not be taken away from him.
Nope. Diamond Dave.
Next one is Steve Perry. Journey from 1977 to 2007. So that's a pretty, 30 years.
That long.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. The pure voice behind the band Journey. Perry had a distinct voice. He can hit the high notes with authority.
Oh, yeah.
He also wrote the songs and performed them along with playing the piano. Journey's success with Perry, and it was in the early 80s, and he held the torch in rock. He was charismatic. He was able to move on stage and get the crowd energized. So no Perry, no Journey. Had a decent solo career, which proves he was the backbone of the band.
True.
Next one I put here was Michael Hutchence from In Excess. 77 to 97, the ill-fated frontman for 80s pop sensation In Excess. Michael Hutchence, in my opinion, is the Australian Jim Morrison, who somewhat resembled him in style and looks.
Good comparison.
Yeah, that's everything.
Hutchence had a unique sound, mainly in new wave, and had showmanship when he performed on stage in front of a crowd. He could go from a mellow voice to a high note. He was In Excess, and he placed them on the map in Australian rock / new wave. His showmanship was slick and chic.
Okay.
The next one I put was Billy Gibbons from ZZ Top, 69 to present. He earned his fame as the frontman of ZZ Top. And the little saying goes, that little old band from Texas. Gibbons sang with lascivious growl and plays guitar with finesse and a flair for cheap taste, which is combination so powerful. Gibbons pushed ZZ Top to be the vanguard of synth rock and a move that helped them become MTV-endorsed superstars. ZZ Top became cool and chic in the 1980s with Sharp Dressed Man, and Gibbons led the way. Longevity runs long for Gibbons.
Yeah, they were a trio that is mystifying, right? Because no one really, 2 or 3 songs is probably all you know, but they sold out stadiums, right?
Yeah.
Like, you just don't get it.
Well, they basically worked out of Texas for the longest time.
Yeah, but they were really good showmen. That was it. All this stuff.
So the next one I put was Vince Neil from Motley Crue. No surprise, obviously, you guys know I put him on here.
Yeah.
81 to present-ish. Was the focal point of the band with his long blonde hair and screeching vocal style. While not a schooled vocalist, Neil looked the part. Born and raised in the Los Angeles area, he epitomized the carefree California surfer dude image, which was at the time the ideal persona for a heavy metal frontman a la David Lee Roth. The singer was quickly ushered into the band, and for the next decade, the crew embarked on a heavy metal odyssey full of music, mayhem, and 4 consecutive multi-platinum albums. There is still longevity here. Oh, you hear some noise?
Again, it's that damn thing.
And now, Yes or No with Ferris Kennedy, the segment where the sick, drug-addled mind of Mr. Kennedy forcibly asks Dr. Clark and medicated Wheeler yes or no questions about classic rock, and you get to hear the sick, drug-addled answers.
Makes my knees freeze.
Well,
Yeah?
it's the yes or no.
Oh, here we go.
But you know what? It's okay, though. It's a good yes or no. It's kind of like a yay or nay. So
Okay.
yes or no is still here.
Okay.
But for the next couple of shows, we're going to be doing a remodified yes or no. And the first one that we're doing today is called Who's Better? So I'm going to ask you guys 10 simple questions each. And it's going to be who's better. And it's based on either your opinion or if you know the actual facts of this band and why you think it's better. So to christen it off, I will start with Ian.
Okay, thank you very much.
Ian,
Yes?
who's better? Rush or the Tragically Hip?
Oh, you bastard.
I know.
You bastard. Okay. Oh, you're walking home, as they say. Rush or who's better?
You got to pick one.
Okay, I would. This really hurts. I'm gonna probably, develop intestinal problems, but I'm gonna have to go pound for pound with Rush.
Wow, I didn't think you were going to go
I
that
know
route.
that really hurts,
Okay.
but I'm thinking in terms of musicianship. I think Rush, even though they're defunct, is going to be around a long time, and I think that my feelings about the Tragically Hip, interesting band, but I think it's been distorted by the way Downey died and all that. It's so morbid. So sorry, but I have to go with the Rush.
Okay. The next one, the Beatles or the Rolling Stones?
Beatles.
Oh, wow.
And the Beatles because just in terms of influence, in terms of composition ability, that's enough for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Led Zeppelin or Van Halen?
Oh, well, Led Zeppelin.
Okay.
Yeah.
AC/DC or Guns N' Roses? Because I know you hate both of them. So
Yeah, I know. I don't really hate. Yeah, Guns N' Roses bothers me. I'll go with AC/DC.
Bon Scott AC/DC or Brian Johnson AC/DC? You could pick one of those.
I'm gonna go with Brian.
Brian, okay. Here's a good one. The Doors or the Beach Boys?
Wow, that hurts.
You're cruel, man.
Yeah,
Of
what a
course.
son
Oh, wait
of
till I get to you.
I'm gonna have to say, oh wow, I can't really get this one. It's not yay or nay for me. It's they're so different. I'll go with the Doors because their influence they haven't released an album since 1971, and the Beach Boys are still riding on Pet Sounds, which was at 66. So, in terms of influence, simply the Doors.
Yes, Kennedy's right. All right, I knew.
All right,
Jimi Hendrix or Bob Dylan?
Oh, God, these are good. You really thought these out. Okay, I'm going to have to go with Bob Dylan in terms of influence.
Oh, I'm shocked. Okay.
Yeah, I know. Jimi Hendrix, I think, was probably... Folks, I know I hope you're not driving a car right now, but I think he's probably overrated.
Jimi Hendrix? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. CCR or CSNY?
CCR is just such great songs, and that, like, Fogerty hit genius in that 2 or 3 year period. I think Crosby and the boys went on too long. They had one, in my opinion, maybe 2 strong albums.
Okay.
And they've been around since 1850 or something.
All right. The Doobie Brothers or the Allman Brothers?
Oh, I'm going to go with the Doobies because they're more my era and I know their stuff. The Allman Brothers are such great musicians, though. It was in their prime. It was scary.
Okay. The Who or the Guess Who?
Okay, I have to go with the Who in terms of influence, but the Guess Who makes some great songs.
Okay. And the last one for you, U2 or Queen?
Oh, well, Queen, because just in terms of influence, I mean, you could have been, broken up for 30 years, and they're still a big band. That's why. You two, folks, I could never figure them out. Even with, I listened to Octon Baby Trying to Get It, I remember that. I couldn't figure them out, and I never understood their stadium popularity. So.
All right. Wheels.
Oh, Lord.
Depeche Mode or In Excess?
In Excess. Just for the tragic aspect of it.
All right. Pink Floyd or Genesis?
Genesis, I think, had a bigger impact in certain ways for other musicians. But I'll go with Pink Floyd because I think even people who don't know prog know Pink Floyd.
Okay.
Good point, yeah.
Pearl Jam or Soundgarden?
Ooh, that hurts.
Pearl Jam.
Yeah, because he's...
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay. Supertramp or King Crimson?
Ooh.
I'm cruel, eh?
That's bizarre.
You said it was cruel.
That is. These are good. That's cruel.
Yeah. Don't be cruel.
Well, you know I can't be.
King Crimson, again, I think it's like a Genesis thing where King Crimson, they influence a lot of other musicians.
Yeah.
But Supertramp, I mean, everybody knows Supertramp.
All right.
They don't even know it's prog, and they know Supertramp.
Yeah. It's a weird prog.
It's weird prog, yeah. It's pop prog.
Yeah, that's good.
Now think of Kennedy when you hear this one.
Okay.
Nirvana or Foo Fighters?
Oh, heard him on this one. Heard him.
Doesn't matter.
Oh,
No, yeah, exactly. I can't hurt him on it.
You got him both ways.
This one, I'm going to go with my personal taste. I prefer the Foo Fighters.
Good choice.
Because Nirvana, I mean, we're still going to play, and we're going to talk about Nirvana later in the show. Nirvana will still be played 20, 50 years on, but Foo Fighters is a lot more fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good way of putting it. Nirvana they mark an epoch. Like, they'll be played. Foo Fighters probably won't. That's just the way it goes.
Yes.
Nirvana was one of these crazy bands, like, I don't know, the Beatles or something, that you think in Nirvana, you think, yeah, they're going to be around in 50 years. They'll say, well, let's put this golden oldie on. And,
Metallica or Black Sabbath?
Oh, Black Sabbath.
Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Ozzy Osbourne or David Bowie?
Ooh.
That's a weird comparison.
It is.
Yeah, I was kind of going British solo artists.
I'm going to be crucified for this one, especially by one of our contributors. I'm going to go with Ozzy because to be honest, I've never gone. Like, I like David Bowie, but I don't get why the legendary aspect of it. Like, he's a great musician, but Ozzy's just like, first of all, he's a freak of nature. Like, there's no reason why he survived the 60s, let alone the 80s. He's a fun guy to look at and to listen to.
All right. Bare Naked Ladies or Crash Test Dummies?
Oh, that's cool, man.
That's a good one.
I've always preferred the sound of Crash Test Dummies.
I like his voice, yeah.
Yeah, his voice. But I've always been pissed that they only had the girl singing on the Ballad of Peter Pumpkinhead.
Ellen Reed has a fantastic voice, yeah.
But I have to give it to the Bare Naked Ladies. Page.
Yes.
Epoch.
He had a good voice. Yeah.
They had a good voice, and it was fun. I mean, they actually had an American hit.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
With the most bizarre song. The one day had like...
It was a rappy thing.
Yeah,
One
rappy.
week, about the album Stunt.
Yeah, it was rap and it was improvised.
It saved them.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
All right. The Beastie Boys or Rage Against the Machine?
Ooh. For relevancy, I'll go with Beastie Boys.
That's a good choice. And the last one for you, kind sir. Aerosmith or Bon Jovi?
I know my choice.
I'd go with Aerosmith just for relevancy.
But not for a hairstyling.
Oh, God, no. Although in both cases, I wouldn't mind having that hair. Even
he had an amazing head of hair, Bon Jovi.
And that was the remodified yes or no.
Thank
kind of
you
like
very
Kennedy's
much.
Corner where you come to me and I, change it up a bit and you'll see in the future shows the other stuff that's ready to go. So
It's very good.
Yeah, that got you good.
Yeah, you got me good.
Oh,
all right.
But you know me too well. That's a problem.
So moving along.
Yes.
Brian Johnson, AC/DC, 1980 to present. It's never easy to replace a founding member of a band who dies tragically, but AC/DC's Brian Johnson fit in with the Australian hard rock band perfectly.
They got really lucky.
He was accepted immediately by the group's legion of fans. Johnson's powerful yet grave voice proved to be perfect foil for AC/DC's high energy, hard-hitting rock, and the band continued to churn out best-selling albums and sold-out tours. He has provided stability to AC/DC for over 40 years, and he can still hit the notes. True longevity, here's a close to Mick Jagger.
Plus, he's Scottish.
The next one I put is Ian's favorite, Axl Rose from Guns N' Roses. 1986 to present. Now, depending on who you ask, Guns N' Roses vocalist Axl Rose is either considered a rock music icon who is worshipped by millions as an almost Christ-like figure, or hated as a woefully self-indulgent rock star.
Who wears kilts, and he's not even Scottish.
As well as thought of as a tyrant by his ex-bandmates. Nevertheless, he has rock lyrics like the others, and given his history, there has been some recent stability minus the 20-year hiatus. He can play guitar, he can play the piano, has written rock tunes and power ballads. This is something that he was able to harness on when he started in the mid-'80s. Okay, the next one here is Ian's other little favorite, known as Cute as a Bug, John Bon Jovi.
He's so cute.
From 83
I
to
had a
present.
huge crush on him. He was so cute.
Now, to me, John Bon Jovi is a total package when it comes to frontman. He could sing, hit the high notes, play guitar, write his own songs and lyrics, and musical notes. He is the band, literally named after him. He has the look and has aged well compared to some of the other rock stars.
Oh, yeah.
That's true.
Spent most of the 1980s establishing his hard rock band Bon Jovi as one of the most popular in the Western world, with multi-platinum albums like Slippery When Wet and New Jersey. He then put the band on hold to make a solo album, Blaze of Glory, whose songs were inspired by the motion picture Young Guns 2. Bon Jovi was reactivated in 1982 with Keep the Faith, but the group's namesake frontman continued to make time for his own projects during the following 2 decades, including the 1997 sophomore solo album Destination Anywhere.
Plus, he still has wrong burgundy hair.
Yeah. And I've actually heard he's a really great guy, because apparently he goes to a food bank at least once a week and he serves people. And he actually finances the food bank.
Yeah, he's big obviously in Jersey.
Yeah.
He married his high school sweetheart, so he's one of those good guys. Bono from U2, another one of Ian's favorites.
Oh, God, you're really hitting the gong.
76 to present, the first and only frontman for seminal Irish rock band U2 has reached millions of fans worldwide. He's kind of like Gandhi, you know?
Oh,
Shut up.
He has been consistent with his voice, writes his own songs, collaborating with Dave Evans as The Edge. Has always modified his appearance with the times and style, so he went from like a nice mullet to, the slick to short hair. In 1987, U2 rose to superstardom with the Joshua Tree, and Bono was quickly placed in the center of international media attention. That album alone cemented them in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Do you know he's 27 inches tall? You can take him on as carry-on. That's where they saved a lot of money.
Well, he's there. The next one I put on the list was Dave Grohl from the Foo Fighters, 95 to present. Rarely in the history of rock has a musician switched bands and instruments simultaneously with such a high degree of success as Dave Grohl. One of the true frontmen today, writes his own songs, musical lyrics. He started off as a drummer and then evolved into every instrument. Has the true rocker voice with the growl, fits the look in rock, and evolved from his grunge days. Knows how to work a crowd and always helps his bandmates be just as awesome to make the Foo Fighters who they are.
yeah. And he doesn't age. That really pisses me off, considering the style of life he's living.
And now we're down to the final 3.
Okay.
Bryan Adams. Bryan Adams, actually, believe it or not, his band is called the Dudes of Leisure. And he's been present since 79 onwards. Yeah, no one ever knew that, but Bryan Adams' band is called the Dudes of Leisure.
No one knows it. What's the point?
Yeah, well...
Maybe tax returns.
known for arena rock, starting as a backing vocalist for local bands. In 79, had his own band, who he has been fronting, known as the Dudes of Leisure, or the Bryan Adams Band. It is the informal name given to the group of musicians who accompany Bryan Adams both in the studio and during live performances. He writes his own songs and musical lyrics, has kept the same style since he began his career, somewhat, loyal to his band, and they have been with him since the beginning. Gifted with a powerful hoarse voice, with a particularly recognizable timbre and raw power.
Plus, he cuts like a knife, and it feels so right.
And then he takes you to heaven. Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam, from 1990 present. He's been basically cemented his place as one of modern rock's best-known frontmen, riding the band's early success as Seattle grunge icons into a remarkably consistent and varied career. His low, rugged vocals Introspective lyrics and dynamic presence made him one of 1990's most influential front men.
But his real name isn't Eddie Vedder. Do you know that?
No, it's something else.
It's Elmer Fudd. No wonder he changed it.
And the last one here, I put Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Why? Why not? Because according to Grace Slick, he's over 50 now. So 1983 to present, he's one of the most influential artists in the alternative rock boom of the early 90s. As a frontman for the Red Hot Chili Peppers, Kiedis has inspired a generation of musicians with a hankering for both punk and funk. However, the maturation of Kiedis' songwriting, from the goofy party music of the Chili Peppers to the early albums of the group's reflective commercial breakthrough, Under the Bridge, is one of the rock's biggest surprises.
Well, I heard because they're older now, they're going to change the name to Medium Hot Chili Peppers.
Medium Hot Chili Peppers.
Yeah, because you shouldn't expect too much. That said, I do expect some kind of reviews about classic rock. About classic rock on vinyl, maybe. That's what I expect.
Well, Mr. Wheeler, it is time for your vinyl review.
Oh, hello.
The music at night, it sounds bright on Wheeler's turntable. He shines a light, he keeps his vinyl in sight, and gives you his magnificent review. Now here's a clue we have for you. It's time for Wheeler's Vinyl Review.
So we promised you guys to talk about Nirvana, and of course we couldn't pass the fact that there is now a little box set of Nirvana 30th anniversary of Nevermind. And I'm sorry to say that, frankly, because this is a vinyl review, I am not recommending you buy it on vinyl, actually. I highly recommend, if you're a Nirvana fan, to either buy the CD, yes, they are still sold in stores, or download the HD files off the internet. Not MP3 HD files, because you're going to actually get a real sound coming out of your machine.
And why you say that, man?
Because there are other pressings that you can get at stores like the one we really like here in O-Town, Crosstown Traffic. You can get these great pressings that are sometimes, well, not 15 years, but close to it, years old. So the one thing you want to look for is mastered by Bernie Grunman. So these are recordings that were made off the original analog stampers back in the day, so they actually sound the way they were recorded, because every record that's coming out now, most records that have been coming out in the last 4 years are digital files.
So these are Nirvana, so they were originally analog
tapes,
and they digitized them now, gotcha.
So, and the reason why I'm recommending this 2009 disc is because it's the last time there was an analog stamper, because there's been a series of fires in LA.
I know, I heard about that.
And unfortunately, Nevermind is one of the treasures that was lost.
Really? They lost the original tapes?
They lost the original tapes.
Oh, man.
So, I highly recommend that you try to find the 2009 Blue Disc by Bernie Grunman, or the Black Disc. They're more or less the same. The only downside about these is the price.
Yeah, it's going to cost you a boatload of money.
Yeah. So the cheapest I've seen them was $72 US.
Oh, okay, I can live with that. I thought you were like $300.
No.
$100. I don't know. What do you get for it, though?
I don't know. A sign.
You get
No.
At 72, you just get the straight record. There's nothing special on these.
No, that's not going to happen.
So the best bang for your buck, though, is the 2013 that came out on, it was called Palace, the label. This one you get for a much better price. It's more along the $30 price tag. And there's been another one that came out in 2017. This one sounds okay, but we're getting into digital territory. And if you're going to go that route, the Nevermind 30th anniversary, if you're listening to us in the States, go to Target. There's a Target version of this recording. It sounds really good. I mean, it's still the digital file. So it depends on your equipment. It depends on how much you want to listen to little details that you've never heard before. So if you want to go for the really great sounding one, try to find either the 2009 or 2013 pressings. But I have to say, the Target one in the States, and I think it's the same thing at Walmart.
Probably, yeah.
There are both Bernie Grudman releases, but they are from digital files. So avoid the big box set, the 30th anniversary on vinyl. If you have to buy the CD, buy the HD files, or otherwise go to these great little stores like Crosstown Traffic and try to find the copies that came out a few years ago before vinyl was big on the revival. And so the quality was a little more there. They didn't print as many of them, but often enough the sound was better. So
how about the artwork? Is it still the same?
It's always the same.
They had a spoof where they had a dog.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one.
That was the cutest thing. And I don't know, like I think Dave Grohl was talking about that, and he was actually hinting, so hey, we'll just change it. They'll just change the cover. They don't.
So what? It's such a money grubbing complaint anyway.
It is. It's sad.
That person's really weird. I read a bit about him. Poor guy didn't turn out that well.
And he redid the shoot anyways when he was 20.
Yeah, I know. He's not quite.
I think it definitely is a money thing. I think what he was asking for was 150 from each band member.
That's not going to happen. I'll see you in court.
So you got the estate of Cobain, you got Pat Smear, Dave Grohl, and Chris Novoselic. So
you got $600,000.
You want $600,000 US.
And forget it.
Why? Dude, you got famous.
You're insane.
You know
I'll
what?
See you in court.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna fly.
No.
Come on, you've seen this before in your past.
Yeah, it's not gonna. People always talk big, then you get into court and the judges. It's common sense. No, your parents signed this when you were 13 months old, and so bye, and it's over.
But they should do the one with the dog, though.
Yeah,
like it'd be fun. Yeah, dogs.
The wiener dog.
Dogs always look weird underwater, so it'd be fun.
It's kind of cute.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Thank you very much. Excellent.
Well,
very informative. I'm still bugs me. The original analogs are gone. That's horrible. Those are gold. Original analog tapes. It could be the Beatles. It could be the Stones, the Doors. When they go, they're gone forever.
Oh yeah.
Everything's a copy. You can't copy the original anymore. You copy the copy, which is not quite as good.
It's a close second.
But it's not quite as good because you're not even copying an analog. They know what they should do is they should always make dupes of analogs and hide them somewhere up north in Alaska or something. I don't know, because when the original's gone, it's gone forever.
So that's it.
That's
it too.
All right. Well, I'm signing off as Kennedy.
I'm signing off and as Dr. Clark. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.